All right, welcome to the latest episode of All Things Fisker. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube tonight, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Pandora, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio, we're thrilled to have you with us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing. Now, in episode 21, that's where we're at tonight, episode 21, we'll be diving into the latest updates on all things Fisker, from homologation of the Fisker Ocean to the latest developments of the Fisker lounges. We've got you covered. We'll also be discussing Fisker's recent investor presentation, as well as their WLTP announcement and anticipated EPA results for North America. Plus, we'll touch on the new Fisker mobile app, the upcoming Nordic EV Summit 2023, two recent interviews with Henrik Fisker from over the weekend, and the recently released Fisker Ocean winter driving video. And as always, we'll be sharing some other notable EV news at the end of the show, if you will. Joining us tonight are some familiar faces. Hello, gentlemen. We have Jim from OSR Garage and Marty from Fisker's Whispers. Matt has the night off. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Super. Thank you very much for joining tonight. Now, before we get started, let's find out where everyone is tuning in from tonight. It's always fun to kind of see where our listeners and viewers are. And while we wait for your responses, let's share today's poll. We have a poll question at the top of the chat, and currently we have 57 people who voted. The poll question tonight is more or less, by the end of this month, will Fisker provide an update on U.S. homologation and regulatory approvals? So let us know what you end up thinking in that poll. It's a simple poll. You have two possible choices, yes or no. So go ahead and vote for the poll, and we will go ahead and discuss those results and share them later on in the show. But first, let's give some shout outs to our viewers and listeners and get into the news and group discussion. Okay, we have people joining from all over from what I can see here. We have Aries from Cape May, New Jersey. We have Ryan from Pittsburgh, OJ from Houston, Texas, Jose Nino from Miami, Florida. That's over close to you. Maybe that's close to you. Is that Marty? You're kind of near that neck of the woods.
And I know that knucklehead. He's always chatting with me offline. We're good friends.
Very nice. Very nice. We got Long Island. We have Jose Cruz from Long Island, New York. We have Silver Nort from Wisconsin. We have Tommaso from Mammoth tonight. Hello, Tommaso. Hope you're enjoying the fresh powder up there. It just got done raining over here, and we expect more rain later tonight and tomorrow, so you should probably get some good snow up there. Hello, Rosanna from North Carolina. That's nice that you're joining. We have Orlando, Mikey. We have Vicus from St. Louis. We had an Overland Park too. Jingesh, welcome from Overland Park. Been there a couple times. And let's see here. Well, we've got an Irvine. We got somebody near me. Okay, Doug Thiel, welcome. Thanks for being a club member as well. So let's get this started here. So we're going to kick it off with the Fisker news, and then we'll chat about all this stuff in our group discussion. So, okay. Last week, we came across the video that offered a glimpse of the Fisker Lounge interior situated at the Grove in Los Angeles. I don't know if anyone had a chance to see that. We'll talk about it in just a moment. But that video was taken offline within 24 hours of its posting. The clip showcased a site, that Fisker Lounge in Los Angeles at the Grove, that was still undergoing construction, with the second story's primary structure being briefly revealed in that video. The video highlighted a blank canvas, if you will, a blank space awaiting design treatments on the walls and floors. Based on the available information we have today, we can anticipate the Fisker Lounge in Los Angeles to become operational in the next 2 to 3 months. We should be getting an update soon as well regarding the Fisker Lounge in Copenhagen. That's over in that little tiny town called Tostrup. Now, according to locals in Denmark, the unofficial opening date for the Copenhagen Fisker Lounge is approximately April 11th. That's not an official opening date. That's from the locals. That's what they're hearing. So we're sharing that here with you first. Now, the next thing up here is that Fisker, as you all probably know, if you saw some of those videos I posted earlier this week, they just released an upgraded version of their mobile app, which addresses numerous customer concerns from previous iterations, automatically being logged out being one of them. Now, the new and improved app, version 3.0, is now available for download on iPhone devices only. In addition to fixing several bugs, the app features a completely new design. Fisker has stopped support for older app versions and is urging users to upgrade to access all these new features. Android users can expect an update to be available pretty soon. Now, who remembers the Fisker Ocean that made an appearance in London at the end of January? Marty, I think you may have shared some photos, or at least you messaged the transporter and tried to get a scoop on that. That vehicle transporter drove the Fisker Ocean over the Westminster Bridge into London. It was a silver lining, had a silver lining exterior, I should say, and 22-inch F3 slipstream wheels. Well, many people in London wondered where that Fisker Ocean was headed. Lo and behold, this weekend, there were 2 interviews with Henrik Fisker. The article published in the Sunday Times in London over the weekend was most interesting. And in it, Henrik discussed his journey of creating the Fisker Ocean after leaving Aston Martin to pursue his electric SUV dream. The article includes a photo of Fisker, Henrik Fisker that is, posing in front of 45 Park Lane Hotel in central London with that very Fisker Ocean. That's the reason why the Fisker Ocean was in London for that particular Times interview. Now, the other interview was from a German outlet, and they discussed the Fisker Ocean pair in production in general. But both articles were really good. They're on the Fiskerati site if you haven't seen them yet. Next up, Fisker released a high-quality video, a very high production value video, showcasing the winter driving capabilities of the Fisker Ocean. The video was filmed in northern Sweden at the end of February and demonstrates the vehicle's exceptional ability to handle challenging winter conditions such as snow and ice. That particular Fisker Ocean was doing a lot of snow drifting on a frozen lake, from what we've been told. Through the footage, viewers can witness the Ocean's all-wheel driving capabilities, impressive traction, and highly responsive handling. Next up, on May 4th, Henrik Fisker is slated to address the 2023 Nordic EV Summit. At 10:30 a.m., he'll take center stage to engage in a conversation with Jack Scarlett, a presenter on the Fully Charged show, and somebody who has previously interviewed Henrik Fisker over at a auto show down in the southern part of England. That was last year, actually. The opening session for the Nordic EV Summit is titled A Clean Future for All. That's Fisker's tagline. It'll set the tone for the summit's discussions. This is a ticketed event. 2 more. Next, Fisker refreshed their investor presentation last week. We mentioned it briefly last week, but we've now had an opportunity to review it. It's worth noting that the presentation had not been updated since August 2022, but the latest version features a significant design overhaul. It includes the removal of old slides and the additions of new ones, with numerous updates throughout. For Fisker shareholders, we suggest reviewing the complete investor presentation. It's posted on the Fiskerati site. Just search latest investor presentation. However, to save you time, we published a premium article on Fiskerati, and that highlights all the essential changes. Okay, lastly, this week's major announcement is nothing other than the official release of the WLTP range for the Fisker Ocean Extreme. That was some pretty good news we got. The company has reported that the Fisker Ocean Extreme achieved a WLTP range of up to 707 kilometers and 440 UK miles, which surpasses previous estimations using the simulation tools that Fisker has access to. It's important to note that this is the European standard. Fisker simulations use WLTP standards, initially projected a range of 630 kilometers. As a result, the Fisker Ocean now boasts the longest battery range of any battery-powered SUV currently available in Europe. Fisker expects European homologation from authorities by April 28th, so next month, less than, 30 days, less than 30 days, with deliveries following thereafter. We're still waiting, however, on an update with EPA results and homologation for North America. Okay, there you have it. that is your Fisker news for the week. Okay, guys, now let's discuss this. What do you think of Fisker's WLTP announcement from this week?
The WLTP is all over the place all the time. So I don't. I mean, it sounds good. I mean, it was at 70 more kilometers about than what they had originally projected. So, I mean, that bodes pretty well for the EPA round. It should be a little bit higher than what they're projecting. So, and that maybe that's why originally they had that 350 plus on the website. So.
We did see that, the plus. We wondered why did they put the plus after the 350? So yeah, it's 77 kilometers more, which is pretty good, right? Better than it coming in lower. I thought that was great news. What do you think, Marty?
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. And I think maybe because we've been starved for information for so long that, when the WLTP finally came out, we were like, oh my God, a press release, something's happening. So, anything over what we'd estimated, I think that's a positive news. And I know that they said, UK mileage, 440 miles. It's not going to be that for US when EPA comes out.
Yeah.
But some people are saying maybe 380, 390. I mean, even 360 would be great. That's putting us right near at the top of a lot of competitors.
Yeah, not long ago, it was a couple of weeks ago, I think Henrik Fisker ended up saying it may be closer to 360 or thereabouts. Yeah. So even 360 would be great, especially for people who go with the 22-inch wheels, right? We signed up for the 22-inch F3B, the black slipstream wheels. And because their bigger wheels have a larger diameter or circumference, you get, I think it's 15 to 20 miles less in battery range, as the tire takes, I guess, longer to go around. And I don't know all the science behind it, but anytime you're making it up for, the battery technology or the software that ends up allowing you to get more mileage, that's a bonus, especially, you get the looks, you get the performance, and you get to keep some of that range that most people were initially thinking, hey, 350 miles for the Extreme, or for our case, the Ocean One. So yeah, I was actually really surprised to see the WLTP results. And we knew, though, from previous posts on social media from Henrik, he said, hey, we're going to deliver at the end of this month, or we're going to provide you an update delivery soon. We're going to provide you an update at the end of the month. And we've talked about that in the past. And, we got some news regarding the battery range, but we didn't get anything yet for North America. And seeing as the majority of our viewers, I didn't see anybody tonight joining us from Europe. Sometimes we get some people from Europe, which is actually kind of fun. But a lot of us are here in North America, and we haven't seen the EPA numbers yet, or an update on the homologation. And we want to kind of get an update on that. I was hoping personally to get an update on both European and North American, battery range and homologation, regulatory approvals. I was hoping we'd get that at the end of the month. I think in a couple of episodes ago, Marty, you were saying that in addition to that, maybe you were hoping to get, hey, we built 300 Fisker Oceans.
Yeah, I'm still hoping that happens by Friday, which is, 48 hours out now. And, that was our own set target, which was a revamped target after SOP. So, that will be interesting to see if that actually happens. What I do, getting back to WLTP for a second, what I do think was nice about that is that it kind of gave a springboard to a lot of articles that are now being published in Europe and UK, announcing that and putting us in the mix. I saw one article that had like the top 10 longest range EVs, and Fisker Ocean was number 3 behind, I think, Lucid, which, they're one of their larger sedans, has something like 500. And then a Mercedes, I forget which model Mercedes it is, but that had 300 and something. So, with that, we're right in where we should be, I think.
Yeah, it's really good news. And then that same press release. So the funny thing is, I usually stay up about midnight or so, 12:30, sometimes every night of the week. And I checked my Twitter feed, of all places, and lo and behold, of all places, Fisker posts they're back, I guess, maybe on Twitter. They're doing updates on Twitter, and I saw the post come along that announced this news, and I was excited, one, for the news, but also excited to see Fisker actually posting again on the Twitter social media site. In addition, they posted the news, obviously, in a press release on Instagram, a couple other social media places like LinkedIn. But that press release also ended up having some other interesting information in it as well. It talked about talked about the Fisker centers and those locations opening across Europe and throughout the US as well in 2023, with the start of, it says April 11th in Vienna and Copenhagen. Now, we believe that there's that Fisker Lounge in Tostrup. That is likely going to be the Center Plus, the Fisker Center Plus, which is basically a Fisker Lounge, but it will also offer service and things of that sort, test drive service. So that's pretty interesting. That they ended up providing those dates. We definitely got that confirmed with a couple of locals. They ended up actually going in and speaking to people that work there. They emailed them, and the 11th of April definitely seems like a go. And Fisker hasn't obviously released anything regarding the specific locations of these Center Pluses. But we ended up doing an article a while back and think that the lounge in Tostrup is likely to be this Center Plus. But there hasn't been anything confirmed officially by Fisker yet. So still TBD, with more information probably to be released in the next 2 weeks on that. So I think that was some really good news. Now, we did a poll at the beginning, 8 hours ago, it looks like, when I ended up posting this particular live stream. And in the poll, we asked that question: will Fisker update on US homologation and regulatory approvals by month end? Okay, I'm going to give people just 10 seconds to pop in their vote if they haven't already done so. We've got, it looks like, 90 people watching right now, 93 people watching. If you haven't voted in the poll, go ahead and do that now. I'm going to end it here in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm ending the poll. We have a total of 76 votes. And we asked the question again: will Fisker update on US homologation and regulatory approvals by month end? As you mentioned just a minute ago, Marty, there's 2 days left in the month of March. Are we going to get the update? 68% of the people watching tonight said no, they don't think we're going to get the update. The optimistic people, 31%. Of course, I can't vote in the poll, but if I could, I would have voted and been with the minority here. I believe that we have 2 days left. Nothing sounds like a good time to drop some news on Friday morning. So yes, 31% of the people said yes, 68% no, 76 votes in all. That's our poll for the day. Maybe we'll come up with another idea for a poll later in the show. So yeah, that's pretty neat. Okay, let's jump to a different topic. How about the new Fisker mobile app? Have either of you had a chance to see that? Did you read the article I wrote? Have you played with it? Have you downloaded it? First off, do you have an iPhone?
No, I do not.
Okay, Marty has an iPhone. Jim has an Android device.
I was messing with it right before we hopped on here, and it looks like we have to delete and re-download the app because there was no option to update. So I'll take it off my phone and download it and then log in. And hopefully it has all my information in there. I'll play with it a little bit, but I did see your post. I did see your article on that. I think I commented, but that's great that they released that.
It's super great that they released it. It's about time, I would say. It looks really cool. I have it here on my device. I think the best thing so far, there were so many people who complained. If anyone previously read the reviews on the iOS App Store for the Fisker Flex app, Fisker Flexi app, there were so many people that complained about being constantly logged out. You want to check your reservation, you have to log in. You shut the app, you have to log in. You have to, every time you shut the app, it seemed as if you had to log in. Well, good news, they fixed that bug or problem with the app. Now, I've had the app on my phone for the last few days, and I haven't had to log into it other than the very first time. However, I should note that a lot of people have been posting to us on Twitter as well. A couple people posted on the Fiskerati forums where I mentioned the app update. A lot of people were having issues of either A, not being able to log in, or two, not seeing their orders. I believe that's a corrupted local database. So in order to fix that, Fisker would have to push another build and make the corrections, or people can delete their existing app off of their phone. That's what I'd recommend you do, Marty. Delete it before you then do a fresh install of the app. So delete the app, do a fresh install of the app, and you shouldn't have any issues whatsoever. It actually worked flawlessly for everybody who's done that so far. So that's something I definitely recommend people doing who have the iOS platform on their phone, that have an iPhone or whatever you have, maybe an iPad or something. And then the app looks pretty cool. So it shows off our Fisker, get the reflection here, the Fisker Ocean 1, that's Sean's Ocean right there. It allows me to kind of swipe through. You can, reserve a pair, reserve a Fisker Ocean. Pretty cool. And you can edit your build. You can use the price estimator. It's just really well done. They have this little notification, option here in the upper left-hand corner. You can log in and see, that's kind of like your My Fisker, profile hub spot here. And you have a list of, all the different things from, your orders to accessories and gear, your account settings, frequently asked questions, legal, contact us. And the contact us is actually pretty neat if you guys haven't played with that one. You can go in there and do all the contacting directly from the app. You can, hit topic of inquiry, general inquiry, billing, repairs, which I thought was interesting, repairs. So they're getting things set up for people who might need a repair on their Fisker Ocean. And then you have technical. So
why would you need a repair on a brand new car?
Well, maybe you run your car into, a pole. Or maybe you back it into one of those cement, poles, or maybe you smash your wheel on a curb. There you go, Jim. There you go. You're going to need a repair, right? So it's cool that they do that.
I heard the wheels are unscratchable. It's
the funny thing
about what Henrik saying is like unscratchable wheels, or
he did.
He said something.
He did say that. He said that
anti-curb rash or something.
Yeah, he said it at the Mobile World Congress. I don't know, Mobile World Congress presentation.
I will. Yeah, I will report back on my first scrape.
So I saw photos floating around on Twitter from a couple people that I follow, and they ended up sharing photos. I don't know who did it, but somebody gave the air gliders on a Fisker Ocean pre-production vehicle quite the curb rash. Just totally scratched them. I think I know who did it, but I'm not going to mention any names. But it looks. That's the reason why we didn't end up going with the air gliders after all, because they stick out a little bit more than the Slipstream wheels, and I figured, hey. I'm notorious for dinging wheels, and I thought, okay, I'm going to play it safe. I like the look of the Slipstreams, and I also like the idea of maybe at some point we'll be able to buy a second. For example, I got the black covers. Maybe I can get the silver covers, and I can swap them out and kind of mix and match. I think that would be actually kind of fun. So. Yeah, that's what we got there on the Fisker mobile app, and download it if you haven't. We'll let you know when we see the Android version. I don't know if there's any people in the chat that have tried it out, but let us know what you think if you have tried it out. If you have an Android device, hopefully you'll get it soon. We should mention too that app was originally supposed to be released on iOS when the website launched on March 2nd. So it got released, I don't know, a few days ago. So a little bit behind, I would say, but better late than never. And I'd much prefer them to release an app free of bugs. I think Matt ended up identifying a bug with the configurator and how it didn't actually save his build when he edited it. So that's a persistent bug. I experienced the same thing as well after he reported that. But overall, great. Before, you couldn't even edit your Fisker Ocean build in the app. The old app was just no good. So this new app, the architecture sets it up for us who are going to own a Fisker Ocean to be able to unlock the car, as it's going to become our key, right? App is key. So I think it's set up. I'm looking at my iPhone over there on my desk. It's exciting. The reason I do this, it's fun because I do have a Fisker Ocean One reservation. I have a Fisker Ocean Sport reservation. I have a Fisker Pair reservation, and as most people probably know, I still am a Fisker shareholder. As much as many people stock twits don't think I am. So I am, for those that want to let people know, I do still hold stock in Fisker, and I'm excited to be a shareholder and more excited to be a customer. I think that's probably the more interesting thing. For example, I enjoy being an Apple shareholder, but I much prefer being an Apple customer. So I'm, got the Apple products up the yin yang here. If you could see them: Apple monitor, Apple MacBook Air, Apple keyboard, Apple mouse, iPhone, AirPods. I got it all over here. So it's more fun always being a customer, in my opinion, than being an actual shareholder. So anyhow, I digress. Let's jump into, speaking of shareholders, that's maybe a good segue to talk about the latest and greatest Fisker investor presentation. Did either of you look at that? I know both of you are Fisker shareholders as well. Have either of you had a chance to see it?
I saw some excerpts on stock twits, but I didn't go ahead and leaf through it just yet.
No? Okay.
I haven't had time to look through it yet.
Okay, very cool. Well, I looked through it, and there's actually quite a lot of changes. First off, I love the new design of the document. It actually makes it very easy to read. It puts up all the most important information at the beginning, like a slide deck or presentation should do. So if people only end up reading the very first slide, as an example, they get the gist of the company, they get the gist of what the company's vision, mission, what their goals are, etc. The thing that I really liked from the first slide, it's the Fisker snapshot. It actually lists the strategy of the company. That's the first time you really actually see the strategy set forth in the presentation, and it puts right up front, as we see, Lucid and Rivian and obviously Tesla. They're basically building like a vertically integrated, production, facility, if you will. Whereas Fisker, in their deck here, they talk about, being an asset-light business, having that asset-light model, leveraging strong partners. They talk about how they're doing this for the Fisker Ocean, how they're doing it for the Fisker Pair, where both of them are being manufactured. They talk about their digital direct-to-consumer approach with an innovative service model. They've actually changed a lot of the verbiage on their strategy, or at least in their slide deck. They've changed some of the verbiage here. They share and put right up front the target global annual production of 1 million vehicles in 2027, which is super important. I don't remember seeing that in the deck previously, or if it was super buried, but I think that's kind of like a newer addition, as this deck hasn't been updated since August of 2022. We reached out to our Fisker contact back in December asking for an updated deck, because I always like it after the investor day, or not investor day, but the earnings call, to get the latest, because you end up getting the new graph of the reservations. And I always think it's important to kind of see the trajectory and kind of what that looks like. And we ended up getting that in this deck. We got an updated reservation slide, which is always fun to see. And then we also end up seeing the investment thesis. So why would you invest in the company? Basically, I would say the biggest highlight for the investment thesis, in my opinion, is the ESG aspect of the company. ESG's focus at the core. Fisker broke that down and really expanded on it in this presentation. They give lots of information around their sustainability aspirations and governance. So that's super interesting if you're somebody who is into that. Fisker also updated their product pipeline slide, and they ended up, I think I was joking with Matt last week, they ended up having just quickly flipped through the deck. The one thing that caught my eye last week was the fourth vehicle in the product pipeline. They have it, what appears to be the Fisker Alaska truck. It's covered in maybe a red cloth, and the wheels look gigantic on that particular image. But it's great to see kind of the lineup, new updated images. They also emphasize again on that particular slide, they're going to have 4 vehicles offered that are planned by 2025 with the goal of 1 million global annual vehicle production in 2027. Another thing that I thought was kind of good for them to do was on the Fisker Ocean trim levels and launch edition feature highlights, they actually finally show that the Fisker Ocean 1 is sold out. They actually put an indicator on the slide. They also do the same thing for the Ultra and the Sport, saying that it's sold out in the US, whereas the Ocean 1 is sold out globally. So it just lends some confidence maybe to people who are investors in the company that, hey, the company actually has sold out of quite a few of their products that they just showed in the previous slide in the product pipeline. Now, the company, as we've previously mentioned, they ended up having, I think it was 65,000 Fisker Ocean reservations and orders. So that new slide looks pretty cool. However, I would say, playing devil's advocate, it does look like what is it called? The chart of the trajectory of the net reservations is kind of leveling off, maybe plateauing a little. I should say that our Fisker Ocean referral code, our Fisker referral code, while it's still being used on a regular basis, it's not being used as much as it was in previous quarters and previous months. So something just to be aware of. So it's I guess that's it with the reservations. Another thing that is pretty interesting was the deck, the slide in the deck that was titled Fisker Lounges, Center Plus, and Service Plan. Now, Fisker ends up talking about, like they did on their latest investor earnings call, they ended up talking about their 4-prong approach to their service, and they're going to offer Fisker operated service centers with Fisker Center Plus locations. So maybe similar to what's going to be in Copenhagen. They're going to offer Fisker mobile service fleets. They're going to offer partner service and repair centers. And then lastly, as Henrik mentioned on the earnings call, certified Fisker collision repair network. Now, we only know of a couple of the partners' names who are a part of that partner service and repair center. I think Fisker could definitely do a better job educating people who are going to own a Fisker Ocean or who have a reservation. Who are the service partners? Where can I take my car to as far as like a third party goes? Is it going to be Firestone? Because Firestone's owned by Bridgestone. That would be our most logical guess. But I haven't really seen too much information published. Have you guys?
I've not. I know they have a couple of servicers over there in Europe, and
of course, Europe has definitely been published.
Yeah, and Bridgestone, Firestone would make a lot of sense. I think they have like 3,000 service centers nationwide in the U.S. That would just be a no-brainer if that was in fact the case. But I haven't seen anything like that published.
Yeah, I haven't either. I think, Jim, you might be on mute now.
Yeah, I was gonna say the two Firestone service centers that we have here, they don't do any like repairs. It's more like doing tires and alignments and that type of stuff.
Like
they don't do it's just maintenance things. It's not any repairs or anything like that. So
yeah. So I would think it'd be good to know that information. It's super helpful. I get a lot of emails coming in. I got one today that said, hey, who's going to service my Fisker Ocean? And I end up sharing an article that I've previously written about it. which is kind of vague. So it would be good to have more updated current information on that, as it would help, I would think, fuel more reservations, and it would help keep people who have a reservation in the loop better. So maybe, just maybe, when Fisker has information like this to share, maybe they'll push it to people in their application under that notification section, which could potentially be used to push news, like maybe a Fisker Lounge opening date, or maybe a pop-up location, or maybe, hey, we know who is going to service your Fisker Ocean, and here's the information that you want. So exciting stuff. The deck is worth reviewing if you haven't already reviewed it as a shareholder. As I mentioned previously, if you're interested in checking out the article that we had previously wrote, I'm going to go ahead and paste it in the chat here on YouTube. It is a premium article, so you would need to be a premium member, a Fiskerati Premium. So that is something that helps support our channel. And thank you very much for the people who are Fiskerati Premium subscribers. Thank you very much. Now, welcome to the people who have just joined. It looks like we have now over 100 people watching us tonight. So welcome to the Fiskerati, All Things Fisker. We're joined here, myself, Sean, we have Marty from Fisker's Whispers, and we have Jim from OSR Garage. Jim and Marty, if you have links you want people to check out, to follow you, post them in the chat if you haven't already done that. Now, let's chat about this one here. Let's chat about the Fisker Lounge in Los Angeles. How about that? Or maybe Copenhagen. Have you guys ended up, first off, did you see that video of from the contractor that posted the video in Los Angeles? It was actually really good. And I just knew it right when I posted it to the Fiskerati forums. I have a feeling, a sneaky suspicion, that somebody at Fisker monitors the Fiskerati forums. And that video was taken down within 1 hour of me posting it on the Fiskerati forums. As I was writing the article to share it, I was.
You gotta screen record those and save them for posterity. But sometimes they release things and just pull them back. I don't know if that was a designed leak, like an oops, but
it was an oops. It was an oops. It was a contractor who is actually doing the flooring on the stairs, it looked like, or something with maybe the railings going up the stairs. They're using some sort of like white Corian. I think it's glacier white was the color that he talked about. But he did kind of like a pan around of the second floor. And yeah, it was really good. It popped up on LinkedIn under this contractor's profile, who's maybe he does like walls and different artwork on walls. But it was pretty cool to see, and I got to capture. I think I posted on the Fiskerati forums verbatim, like as it was probably pulled down. I was watching it over and over to transcribe the audio and trying to make sense of it to put it into an article. But by the time it was deleted, I just kind of gave up and threw that stuff over on the forum. And but it was worth checking out. And Tommaso, who's in the chat right now, he's the closest one I know that lives near the lounge. I think he's like 15 or 20 minutes away. So we're gonna hope he provides us with some great coverage of it when it opens, as he'll probably be the first to see it. So that would be pretty neat. I'm super excited for that one. Based on the look of kind of where things were, we saw the second story, very bare, kind of a blank canvas. I think a couple people in the forums ended up saying, based on kind of where things are right now, definitely it's going to take at least 30 days to get it to, an operational state. It looks more like 2 to 3 months, though, in order to get like a finished store where they could open up and launch as, hey, this is our flagship store. Not only do we have the flooring and the walls totally done, but we have our furniture and we have Fisker Oceans. We have maybe artwork on the walls. Now, I wanted to read something to give kind of people the idea of what the Fisker Lounge could be. I don't know if you guys seen this previous, but if you go search on the site, I ended up writing an article a long time ago about the top 10 Fisker. locations, experience center locations. And this was in the original Fisker investor presentation. So here it is. Fisker lounges will offer an immersive brand experience. Firstly, the customer journey throughout Fisker lounges will use storytelling around sustainability, technology, and a new model for EV ownership. That might be the Flexi lease. Secondly, Fisker will offer virtual factory tours of Magna using AR, that's augmented reality, and VR, virtual reality experiences. Thirdly, the company will use Fisker lounges for test drives and a place for customers to interact with vehicle materials to learn the story behind them. Fourthly, Fisker plans to create a family-friendly environment with zone spaces. Fisker lounges will offer complete EV visualization, specifications, and in-store ordering. Lastly, Fisker brand specialists will be there for you to start your concierge relationship as you embark on your EV ownership journey. So most of that, if not all of that, was in the original investor presentation. Of course, I wrote it into my own words, but if that's what the Fisker Lounge is going to be, sign me up. I can't wait to go. That sounds fun, to be able to put on a VR headset and be able to experience, where the Fisker Ocean's built. To me, that's totally innovative. That's kind of state of the art. That'll be a really cool experience if and when that's available at a Fisker Lounge near you. What do you guys think of that Fisker Lounge in general?
Sounds amazing. Can't wait to see what the first one looks like. It sounds promising. It's been pushed back, and I think we're all eager to see whether it's Copenhagen or the Grove at Los Angeles to finally open, so we can kind of get a little taste of what that will be like. I think that it's going to make it a little bit more concrete for people, because the car right now is still in the ether. No deliveries. We're waiting on a couple of announcements, but once you start seeing Fisker lounges popping up and cars on the road, all of a sudden it's going to be real.
Yep. What about you, Jim? You have any thoughts on the direct-to-consumer model, using stores to have customers come in and test drive and interact with the vehicle?
I think it's a good idea. I mean, Tesla did it back when they first started up. I remember being over in Indianapolis and going to a mall with some friends of ours, and there was a Tesla sitting inside of a store in the mall, which was kind of cool. We got to see one for the first time. So I think it's going to be really exciting when they first get them open. I think it's going to be like when the new iPhone comes out and people are standing outside lined up down the street wanting to come in and check it out. So
yeah, absolutely.
Be pretty cool.
I think it's
hope we get one in Chicago.
Hopefully,
you went up in Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you'll definitely get one in Chicago. Now, the top 10 Fisker Ocean Lounge locations that were listed in the original investor presentation, if anybody's read it, if you haven't, these are the top 10 locations originally announced. Los Angeles, number 1. And lo and behold, that's where the first Fisker Lounge is going to be, or at least maybe the flagship one. Number 2, New York City, New York. Number 3, Houston, Texas. Number 4, and this one I think is for you, Mikey, who just asked a question about this. Number 4, Miami, Florida. They have a population, by the way, of 6.2 million people in Miami, so that's a great place for one. Number 5, Seattle, Washington. And that is actually quite a cool place to have a Fisker Lounge, because I don't know if any of you have been there, but beautiful scenery in Seattle. San Francisco, number 6. Number 7, Chicago, Illinois, for you, Jim. Number 8, Phoenix, Arizona. Where were you, Fisker, on the Super Bowl? Number 9, Atlanta, Georgia. And number 10, Denver, Colorado. Those were the top 10 locations listed in the original Fisker investor presentation from July 2020. And if anyone forgot the date, Fisker went public. They became a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange on October 30th, 2020. So there you have it. That's on page 18, by the way, of the original investor presentation for those that are interested. Now, let's go to the next thing. Let's see here. The next thing I got on the list is the Nordic EV Summit. Boy, that was That's going to be a fun one, I think. I think it's fun to see Jack Scarlett interview people, and he interviewed Henrik Fisker over at the EV show down in southern England last year, and it was great to see him there. That was the first time I actually got a real in-depth professional video of the Fisker Ocean, like from a third party. And he got up in there, talked to Henrik, and I was super excited to see that. He's going to be presented again on stage at the Nordic Summit in May, and it's at the beginning of May, and he's going to be talking a clean future for all. I have a feeling it's going to be very similar to the other presentation we saw him. He did a keynote at the eCar Expo, and that was also titled A Clean Future for All. So it might be similar to that. Maybe there will be some bits and pieces he pulls from that, at least from his responses. So I'm excited to see that. I always think it's fun to see him talk. Sometimes he says a lot of the same stuff, but I think it's fun. It's something, I try to write an article every day, and it's always fun to hear new things to talk about, to write about, and that's something I'm looking forward to. So I got that on my calendar. I wish I could go to Oslo to check that one out, but that's a little far from here. Do you guys ever watch any of those presentations, any of the keynotes at any of those EV summits? Is there any one that you like in particular, any type of presenter?
I did see the one that he did at eCar Expo, and I think he did another one where he went to I think forget the name of the art college, but it was someplace that he had spent time studying, and so he kind of talked about that whole process of how he became a designer, his first job, him getting kind of accepted at the job at BMW, and his whole background. So the more you get to know the guy, the more you realize he knows a lot about cars. He's been in the industry for decades, success, failure, and everything else. So there's a tremendous amount of confidence in Henrik Fisker, and I think that history will prove him correct with everything he's doing. He's swinging for the fences. I'm excited to see this car on the road.
Same here. What about you, Jim? Anything on watching him or any keynote speaker talk about EVs? Anything fun that you've been watching or seen recently?
Not recently. I mean, I watch a few different channels, like Fully Charged and Electroheads and electrifying.com, I think is what it is. But anyway, I watch those guys because I like to see about some of the European cars, but I haven't seen one done on the Fisker Ocean for a while. I think Jack might have been the last one that I saw where he was up on stage.
Yeah.
Talking about it. So
yeah, that was a good one. That was quite a while ago. That was right before the Fully Charged Live too, not too long before that, like the Fully Charged Live in San Diego. So in a way, I thought, he got interviewed by Jack there. Maybe he's going to be at Fully Charged Live in San Diego. Lo and behold, Fully Charged Live San Diego. That's the first time I saw the Fisker Ocean in person. And then coming up, sneaky suspicion here, Fully Charged Live has some events coming up in Europe. Let's see here. Fully Charged Live Europe. Let's see here. They have events in Amsterdam coming up on, let's see, is it Amsterdam? Which one is it? Let's see here real quick. There is, that one's kind of far away. There's one sooner than that. There's one coming up here in like let's see, 20, this is an old site, rats. They do have one coming up here, and something tells me, okay, here we go. United Kingdom South 2023, April 28th, 29th, and 30th, Farnborough. Don't know that one. But there's also one coming up in October. That's kind of a far time away. We do have one in the UK as well. So we have United Kingdom South 2023, April 28th, 29th, 30th, Farnborough. United Kingdom North 2023, May 19th, 20th, and 21st, Harrogate. Never heard of that place either. But San Diego's getting one again. That says October 27th, 28th, and 29th. So that's pretty neat. And then Vancouver's getting one in September, and then Amsterdam, November of 2023. So there's quite a few of them popping up and something tells me Jack Scarlett's interviewing Henrik Fisker. Something tells me that the Fisker Ocean will appear at one of these upcoming events here in the United Kingdom, either the fully charged, live south or north events. So if you guys go, let us know. The last time that Fisker was at those events, they actually gave free tickets away. If anyone was lucky enough to get those, we ended up getting a free ticket for the press thing here that we're doing. And but we ended up getting free tickets as well and gave them out to one of our readers. But hey, there's nothing like a free ticket to an EV show and being able to see the Fisker Ocean. So more details to come on that. I have a feeling.
Imagine getting a press release and not having to guess between the 3 fully charged shows. It'd be nice. We could just know. That's
true. And so just to say that too, they already have on the site the sponsors and some of the companies that are actually going, but Fisker's not listed yet. So
I think I saw them doing. I think there's another one coming up in San Diego, like back again in the fall. I think they might be doing that one again. I'd have to.
Yeah, they are. I just read that one. It's October 27th, 28th, and 29th. And we ended up going on, I think it was a Saturday. It was a Saturday. They only did 2 days last time. We went on the Saturday, and it was Saturday and Sunday. Pretty good turnout. I did a live stream from that. I think Jim was watching, a few other people. Tommaso was watching. I know Matt was watching. And I ended up getting there during the press time. The press opened up like 20 minutes early, 30 minutes early, somewhere like that. And I walk up, and this was the Fisker Ocean like pre-production vehicle was there, the one in Big Sur blue, and they had the hood open on it, and they had a computer stuffed in there, and they were playing with the key, the computer on the keyboard, trying to like boot it up. So it was definitely a early prototype, and they didn't want me at all looking at that stuff. They're like, "Who are you? Oh, get out of here! Oh, don't look at us!" And I was streaming it all. I don't know if Jim remembers that, but it was kind of funny. The reception in that San Diego Convention Center was horrible. It was choppy at bits, and that was actually probably, I would say, the very start of this channel. The Fiskerati channel on YouTube. It was right around the same time. We haven't been doing this for very long. I would say less than a year, this YouTube channel. So thank you, everyone who's subscribed to the channel. It's actually kind of funny to see it grow the way it's grown. It's actually kind of fun to see people actually enjoy this, or people like getting news from us or whatever. I don't know exactly, but it's fun to see people engaging with us. And we get, I would say, 80% of the comments are nice, 20% of the comments not so nice. I was told by Abby Eaton when she was doing the test drive with me in the UK, she said, don't read anything on social media. Don't read any comments. Don't respond to anybody. Your life will be so much better. And I haven't taken her word for it yet, but I haven't taken her advice, I should say, yet. But maybe I'll do that at some point. Right now, I'm still having fun engaging with people, but there's some real mean people out there. And they do what they do, and that makes them happy. And it's not just on YouTube or Twitter. It's all over the place. Instagram, stock twits being the worst of the bunch. Oh my God, don't get me started on that place. Whether
it's
you're
an interesting ecosystem, but kind of like Groundhog Day, you can kind of predict 90% of the posts on StockWits on it any given day. I still visit frequently and post occasionally, but one thing I did see on there, and just saw it came up in the chat too, was Citi putting out a 90-day catalyst alert on Fisker stock, which is nice. So occasionally some good information trickles in there. I didn't really have much effect on the stock. Kind of leveled off here this week at $6 a share, but I think everybody's anticipating some news, or some people are. A third of the people are expecting some news here in the next couple of days. Either with the 300 pre-production vehicles, or some kind of
update on U.S. homologation and the regulatory approvals. In fact, 31% of the people, right? are expecting something. Me being not in that poll percentage, but I would have been one of the people that said yes. So I'm hoping for. You would have been a no. You would have been a no.
I would have been a no, and I only say that because I think that we would have heard something around the time that you heard WLTP. Like they would would have just announced it together. I mean, I don't see why you would hold that back to like the very last day. Like, what are we gonna get, like 5:00 p.m. on a Friday? I mean, if it doesn't come tomorrow, like, is it gonna come Friday? I don't know. Maybe I want to be wrong. I think. I'm not excited about waiting, to the end of April, to the end of May for, EU or US. And, and the pessimist in me thinks that, they would, if they knew US was coming, they would have announced, hey, we expect it on March 28th. They would have announced it like a month ago, kind of like they did, for Europe. But, Europe geographically is the closer market for releasing the vehicle geographically. So would it shock you if EU came first at the end of April and then US didn't come till May? It wouldn't shock me at all.
It wouldn't shock me. And we already know from previous posts and things like that the first deliveries are going to be in Denmark, and Q1 is what they were originally projected. That was the delivery quarter for quite a lot of people in Denmark from what we saw. And if that Fisker Center Plus opens up in Copenhagen, that's likely where people will go and pick up their Fisker Ocean. The question is when will the first Fisker Ocean that will be delivered in Denmark be built? Is it already built? Is it, like you said, one of those 300? We don't know. A good question to ask may be, how much transparency should Fisker provide customers and shareholders with production, with delivery? I don't know the answer to that. Obviously, as one who writes for a hobby, I do this every day for fun. I would like as much information as possible at all times, because it gives me something to write about. As a customer now, putting my customer hat on, I also would like a lot of information, because there's a lot of information that just seems that it's lacking, as far as, like, if you're a customer, don't you want to know how big the battery is? Don't you want to know, how fast the battery will charge? There's just like fundamental things that that tie into perhaps not EPA, but like battery range. Like, hey, we're talking about the battery. Let's give more battery details. Like, that stuff to me would be interesting, and I'm not the only one that thinks that would be interesting. There's a whole list of questions that one of the members in the Fiskerati forums, Bayou Bob, put together, and it's by far the longest and most active thread in the forum. Granted, I've pinned it to the top of the Fiskerati forums, but it's just, people have those questions. Like, that forum, that topic in the forum is so helpful to me, because I get a lot of emails randomly from people asking questions that I then point to that forum and that specific topic to help them answer it. So, putting my third hat on, right? We have the guy that writes for fun. That was one hat. The second hat, guy who has Fisker Ocean, pre-ordered. The third hat being the Fisker investor. As the Fisker investor, I also would like to be up to date on the latest and the greatest. I would like to know kind of where things are, being a stakeholder in the company, to know just where things are at. Hey, it's better to be, in my opinion, be honest, be forthright, be straight, straight shooter, and give the information. And I think Fisker does that to the best of their ability. But at times it makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes, because at one time the company's really active on social media, and then on other times they're super ice cold, and you don't know what's going on. So it's just, I would, as I mentioned, with all three of my hats, as much information as possible.
Yeah, I dated a girl like that, hot and cold. You don't want that. You want good communication. And getting back to your battery point, I think what we're talking about as far as transparency is great. I read an article recently this week talking about it was on Reuters, the insurance industry totaling EVs just for minor damage, because the battery packs can be unstable. There's no transparency as to how damaged is a battery pack. Is it a fire risk? Some of those other things. And if we knew, for instance, crash test rating for, the Fisker Ocean, or how the battery pack is insulated or treated, or, if it's a side impact, is that entire car total loss? Or is it, parceled out so that half of the vehicle's battery pack can be taken out, put back in, and, that car is, drivable? Or would be a total loss. And I'm sure insurance companies would like to know that too, because there's a lot of cars that, in this case they were mentioning Teslas, where the Teslas are from the appearance doesn't look too banged up, but because it, involved the battery pack, that car is total.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, more information the better. What about you, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, I think the battery information is one of the biggest things that everybody wants to know. I mean, they release those numbers. How big is this battery? They talk about charging times. I mean, that's going to come into effect there too with your charging of the battery. If it's a huge battery, then it's going to take a long time to charge it, regardless of how fast it can charge. It's still going to take a long time. The bigger the battery, the longer it's going to take to charge it. So, there's a lot of things that play into part with this battery, and knowing the makeup of it and how it's put together. So, that's the biggest thing that I want to know is about the battery.
I agree. Now I'm featuring, for those that are watching us on YouTube, I'm actually highlighting a comment here from Tommaso. I think he shares some of the same sentiment that you had, Marty. So I want to throw it up. He said, I wanted to vote yes in the poll, but felt if they had information this week, they would have done one announcement for both Europe and US. So
one of the comments I saw, I agree 100%.
Yeah, I think that is the sentiment. All right, so let's go on to the next thing here. The next thing, I wanted to talk about that winter driving video. I'm going to go ahead and try to pull it up here. If I can head over to the Fisker YouTube channel. Let me check that out here real quick. I love this video. I thought it was actually one of the best videos that they've done. And let me go ahead and share my screen here, and then we'll play it up. The reason I liked it, it was just stunning all the way around, from the scenery to the different shots of the actual Fisker Ocean, the different angles of the video. I thought were really good. It's like it reminded me just of like an actual movie that you would end up seeing, and I watched my fair share number of movies, usually one a night. I watched some major movie. So there's a good one I actually watched as I pulled this up. For anybody that likes dark comedies and kind of grotesque comedies, The Menu, for anybody that is into movies that hasn't seen that. Quite graphic, but amazing story. Okay, here we go. I got sidetracked there. Here is the Fisker Ocean, and it is in northern Sweden. I'm going to share this here, and let's go ahead and hit the play button and blow this up. So I'm going to keep it muted just because you end up getting copyright strikes if you end up playing the footage or the audio. So cool to watch the video, but like the scenery of this just looks amazing, and there's loads of snow. There's the Fisker Ocean, Big Sur blue. Take a look at the B pillar when it shows. If you can see it, there's actually a sticker that says electric vehicle. Why? I have no idea. But that is the badge that we see. We'll see on the Fisker Ocean 1. In fact, that is the Fisker Ocean 1 being driven right now. That is, it did have a badge on the back of it that said 1. But yeah, what do you guys think of this video? Did you have a chance to check it out?
I did see some of this, yeah.
Yeah. So surprisingly, that's a lake there.
Media. They posted it on all
yeah, they put it everywhere. They put it everywhere. We got a video of it, linked to it before it was released. So we uploaded that one or shared that. But like, that's all ice. Like, that's crazy. That you can do that. Like, that must be like, I don't know how many feet thick, 10 feet thick, 8 feet thick, enough Have you ever done that, Jim, in the Chicago area? Driven your car on ice lake, frozen lake?
I've not driven on a frozen lake. My wife has when she lived up in Minnesota. They actually drove on the lakes quite often up there. But yeah, I've never driven on a lake, but I have done that in the snow around here.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is pretty cool. Yeah, the only thing that I've heard, my dad used to play ice skate and ice hockey on frozen lakes in the Chicago area when he grew up. That's about as much as I've heard of or seen people hanging out on ice, and maybe ice fishing. Grumpy Old Men, that movie was pretty cool, where they start off, I think, the movie with ice fishing. Kind of a fun movie. So, okay, let's see here. What would the comments say on that one? Doubt we'll see snow here either. Well, it's funny. It'd be good to see some snow in our local mountains here. We got our local mountains just right out the window here. They never rarely have snow, but Julian, best place to find snow here in San Diego County. Okay, here we go. I don't think you get any snow where you're at, Marty, do you?
No frozen lakes in Tampa, unfortunately.
No frozen lakes. Believe it or not, I flew into.
We're starting to see
That's so true. So true. I flew into the airport by you when I came back from Graz, Austria. A nice area. I've never been over that way that I can think of. Really cool area, good. And that was right when that hurricane was happening. Yeah, that's a nice area. I like it. But then I went to Disney World and hung out there. I like Disney World too.
I evacuated to Orlando, so we were probably both in Orlando at the same time. I was there.
Oh, wow.
The same time. Yeah.
Very nice.
Hurricanes aren't my thing. I don't like to run.
No, not at all. And the guy that took me in the Uber, man, he was driving fast for a hurricane. I think he wanted to get back before it actually really stormed, but it was pretty stormy. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. So I thought was kind of funny. This weekend, I was searching Google News, and I came across the article from the Sunday Times. Did either of you two see that one? Did you read it? Did you read the article that I wrote on it? Good article.
I didn't.
One of the best interviews I've read. I checked that one out. I linked to it in the article that I wrote about it. So I wrote about the interview that was in that article, and there was just so many cool quotes from that particular article. 2 days in a row, there was two interviews. There was one from The Welt, which is a German publication, a German media outlet, and then obviously the Times in London. That's a big news company. But both of the articles had a similar quote in them. They both compared Fisker to that of Apple in terms of producing the Fisker Ocean to, say, the Apple iPhone. So I thought that was actually pretty neat. The quote from the Sunday Times read like this. It said, Henrik said, "The auto industry is maybe the most difficult in the world. Cars are probably the most difficult product you can make, even more than a plane. A plane gets put in the hands of a trained pilot, but everybody or anybody can buy a car and drive it in any type of condition, any weather, without any supervision." The quote then goes on to say that, or the other quote goes on to say, "I looked at Apple. They don't make their own products. They own the IP, and that's kind of what we do. We're not here to prove we can manufacture a car. We want to prove we can make the world's most sustainable and desirable electric vehicle." So it's just kind of interesting. They both talked about similar things. One was obviously, this interview with the Times was done towards either the end of January, beginning of February, when that car showed up in London. The other interview appears to have been done during or soon thereafter, the last week over at that autonomy show, that was the EV autonomy show that was over at the Port of Versailles in Paris. Both of them similar. The German article talks more about production though, and that 1 million vehicles by 2027. Henrik also, in this particular article, there was another quote that basically talked about how he ended up, moving from Aston Martin to BMW, Aston Martin, to now Fisker doing his own thing. He basically said that, that, hey, he's, what did he say? He said that, let's see here, I have the quote and maybe I don't. Okay, here he goes. So he talks about that, moving from Aston Martin and BMW to doing his own thing. The article closes with what I thought was actually kind of interesting. It basically gives a run cap of his life in the automotive industry. He talks about how difficult it is to make cars. He talks about doing the Fisker Ocean, building the Fisker Ocean, similar to that, how Apple builds the iPhone. He then kind of concludes the article with this quote. It says, he sounds a note of caution for rival EV startups. Henrik says, 2023 will be the decisive year where there's going to be a lot more clarity about which firms are going to make it and which won't, end quote. And then the article author says, Fisker won't want history repeating itself. And that's how they ended the article. And after going through his whole history, the ups and downs of Fisker Automotive, they kind of leave it on a cliffhanger, I think. It's like, it makes me, as somebody who follows Fisker, want to follow Fisker more. It makes somebody who has never heard of Fisker wanting to maybe follow the story more, learn about the Fisker Ocean, what the company's doing. But I thought that was a really cool article from the Sunday Times.
That is a real interesting way to end it. And I think he's kind of, putting a marker down. This is going to end a little differently this time around. And today, I don't know if you saw it, Lucid laid off like 18% of its workforce.
That's right.
I hope those folks weren't building cars, because it's going to be even harder for them to build cars.
I think they said it was executives and people who are building the cars. I think it's kind of just across the board. And that's a way to become more profitable, to stem the bleeding of cash, to conserve their cash. I've read an article about that as well. And, I think Adam Jonas came out with a note today that talked about how he sees other EV companies doing the same thing. Last we saw and heard, Fisker in the latest investor deck, it actually says Fisker has 850 plus employees. I wouldn't envision them cutting any employees, but they do probably are in the same boat, needing to preserve capital, just like every other growth company. Now, it's not just EV related. Like if you look, I think after the stock market closed today, I think Electronic Arts was maybe the latest to let go of people. I want to say they're letting go of 6,000 people. So it's companies. Facebook is like crazy in the amount of attrition they have. Not attrition, but how many people they're letting go. They've let go a ton of people in their workforce. And Amazon has done the same thing. So it's kind of across the whole tech sector, I would say. And I personally, from kind of following it day in and day out, at least, I listen to, a handful of different financial podcasts. There's, the layoffs are not just, they're not ending, they're just beginning.
For sure. I told you last week, kind of offline. My sister worked for Indeed. She lost her job. 2,000 people got fired at Indeed out in Austin, Texas. And Accenture let go like 19,000 people. It's a bit of a bloodbath in tech in certain, or certain corners of tech. And like I said, like you said, I don't think it's gonna, slow down here.
Rivian did something a little bit different. They actually pulled in some of their corporate people that were in other areas and other states and places where they had everything, and they are actually pulling them all to the Illinois office, and they believe they're going to be able to produce more vehicles by bringing in more of their upper management. So I don't know if it's going to work or not, but that's what they seem to think it will.
Yeah, That's crazy. Well, let's go ahead, Jim, and pull up those two articles that you shared with me. Let me throw those up on the screen. We have
all right.
the first one
do you
here,
have them?
which, yeah, I got one up. Let's see. We have the first one, which is, let me see if I can somehow zoom it in. First one's actually from Charged. It says EV engineering news. LG Innotek has introduced an 800-volt wireless battery management system, BMS, that it says can greatly increase battery performance. LG's new wireless BMS has a communication module that integrates an RF communication chip and antenna into one unit. LG says that removing hundreds of BMS wires and connectors from a battery pack can allow vehicle weight to be reduced by 66 to 198 pounds and battery pack space to be increased by 10 to 15%. So what did you think about this one? You shared this one with me.
Yeah. So the reason that this is important is, well, like they said, they'll be able to reduce the weight, but increase battery pack. So I don't know really how much they can actually reduce the weight when they're adding more battery. So it's kind of going to offset each other probably, but they did say that just doing this could increase vehicle mileage by up to 12 miles on the same battery, just by not having as much connections and everything being wireless. So I think it's a step forward, and like I said, it's not going to be anything. It's probably going to be implemented right away. It's probably going to be down the road a little bit. It's possible we might see something like that in the Pear, but I don't think they're planning on 800 volt as of right now. So we'll just have to see where that goes. But that is a huge thing there. I mean, being able to get rid of all the wiring and all that extra stuff in there. And now it's pretty crazy. If there's 200 pounds of wiring in a in a car just to run the battery system, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
So
yeah, I can only imagine how many wires are running through the whole thing. Like I remember seeing, I forgot who posted it to the Fiskerati forums, but there was a video that Henrik may have posted that showed it was that Magna, and it was like the steering wheel, and it was like all the wiring harness and everything for the whole car. It was like the guts of the car without any of the frame or anything, just to show how much wiring there is. And I wouldn't be surprised if that weighed a couple 100 pounds. So let's look at this other article you shared with me here. We have what's this one called? It says USA and Japan. Oh, there we go. USA and Japan sign trade deal on EV battery minerals. This might be good news for the pair, huh? Possibly.
Yes. Yeah, I actually think that this is it's going to be great. Like I said, it's not going to affect the ocean right now, but if they start to build the ocean in the United States, then later on in the next, say 2 to 5 years, this will probably be a good deal for them. And this is going to be huge if we can get all these minerals that are supposed to go into these batteries from Japan instead of getting them from China. Then it should start qualifying these vehicles for the $7,500 tax credit. So that is a huge deal.
Yeah,
it did say something about that they were going to be monitoring it, and they would take a look at it like every 2 years. They would basically kind of audit the situation and see whether it's still a good deal for them or not on either side, and that they could just decide not to do it anymore. So it's kind of like an open contract. But it does say that it will be all battery minerals, including cobalt, graphite, lithium, manganese, and nickel. So
that's great.
That's pretty much everything.
Yeah, and that's part of that the new EV tax credit. Like we needed to find out where the battery minerals would be sourced for the Fisker Ocean batteries, or for anybody who's buying an EV, where they source. Are they sourced in North America, or where, in order to qualify for the $7,500 full EV tax credit? So yeah, that's interesting. I haven't heard too much out of Fisker, really anywhere. Maybe Rivian. I think we ended up getting someone shared like an email from them about the EV tax credit and how that will end up, play into the tax credit, like the battery minerals and just the tax credit in general. Hoping to get something maybe from Fisker soon on that one. That'd be good to get an update, at least for the people that have the One, and then the people who pre-ordered the Fisker Ocean back in August, the Ultra and the Sport, maybe even the Fisker Ocean Extreme, just to get some clarity from the actual company that's selling them. Anyhow, what do you got on the screen here?
All right, so this is the last thing that I grabbed right before the show was the Kia EV9. I know we got some information on it about a week or 2 weeks ago. But they've actually released all of their technical numbers and stuff. So they are saying that they are going to be targeting more than 336 miles for the rear-wheel drive long-range versions of the EV9. It's going to be on an 800-volt charging capability. And it says it's going to enable 15-minute charge time to regain 150 miles in 15 minutes. So that's pretty impressive. The other thing, it says that suggests the EPA cycle potential hitting the anticipated 300 mark in at least one version. Looks like a 76 kilowatt battery pack is going to be on the standard rear-wheel drive model, while the long-range and all-wheel drive versions will get a 99.8 kilowatt hour pack. We've also got 0 to 62 miles per hour in 8.2 seconds on the standard model. We have a 214 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque. The rear-wheel drive long range will have a 201 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque. Takes 9.4 seconds, and then the all-wheel drive versions will be significantly faster. It'll have 379 horsepower and 443 foot-pounds of torque, 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds, and will have a boost feature. So that boost feature will take that down to 5.3 seconds at 0 to 60. So, and we'll have vehicle to load. So, and then they kind of gave like the numbers of like size, like height and length, and it is going to be, I think the Fisker Ocean's like 188 inches or 190 inches. Is that right? Something like that.
Yeah.
This one's coming in at 197 inches, and this is full 3 rows. So
yeah, it's interesting.
That's all I got.
So we have a few questions. Before we answer those, if you haven't already liked the video, and it doesn't look like many people liked the video tonight. I don't know why. Maybe they didn't like all the news. Beats the heck out of me. Last week, I think around this time, we had like 75 or 80 likes. Tonight, a measly 23. So not sure what's going on there. So if you haven't already liked the video, there's like 80 something people watching. Take a quick minute to hit the like button, as that ends up sharing this video with other people on YouTube. That's why we ask people to like it, because it then increases awareness for the channel, and then people can learn about Fisker, since that's what we primarily talk about here. So we do have a couple questions in the forum, not many. One, I think it was Jose that mentioned this one. He said, did we ever find out who won that contest for the charger? Do you guys remember that contest? There was the contest.
Charger, yeah. Huh.
Yeah, right? What happened with that? I haven't heard anything about that yet. So no, the answer is no, I haven't heard about it.
Wow.
I was hoping to win it.
I don't think I even entered it. I don't think I remembered. I think it was by the time I logged in, I'm like, well. All right.
Yeah, you could enter it every day, I think, for like 3 days, and you could invite people to it and all that stuff. But yeah, I personally haven't heard who's won that yet. Maybe Fisker will share. Maybe like that to me seems like not a press release. That's more of like, hey, you shared the contest on social media. Let people know on social media who won. And I don't know about that one yet. Hopefully we'll find out who won that so discreetly. Maybe they told the person that won and nobody else.
Yeah, maybe it's like
So
it's like a lottery winner. They're like, don't reveal my identity.
that could be. That
Just
could
won
be.
the Powerball. I wouldn't want
There
it.
is,
Yeah.
right? You don't want people to know who you
You
are
never
because you don't want
know.
people coming
You
after
never know
you.
with those contests. I ran a contest for a giveaway for ID4 floor liners, and I announced the winner, contacted the winner, or at least I tried to contact the winner. Never heard anything, and they never claimed it. And 6 months later, I randomly get an email that said, "Oh, I was the winner."
Oh my
And I'm
God.
like, okay,
That's
well,
funny.
let's see if this code still works. Here's the code, and it still worked. But I was like, you
So
never know if we'll
based
see
on
it or not.
based on that experience you had, Jim, it could be that they've selected the winner or winners and they've reached out to them by email and they haven't been able to get a hold of them. That's possible. So they're going on to the next person and the next person and the next person. And maybe somebody will reply and they can announce who won the Charger. So, yeah, that's a good question. Don't know the answer to that one. And then somebody had a question or just a minerals from Japan. That was the question. Like, yeah, I had the same thing when I read that. Minerals from Japan. I didn't know they do lots of mining in Japan. Japan's not that big. So yeah, that's kind of crazy. I know there's there's a company. Go for it.
I was gonna say, speaking of the minerals, when they were talking about mining minerals, I just heard that all of the manufacturers are starting to contact senators and representatives and everything, trying to speed up the process for opening mines to start mining these minerals. And because right now the current process takes about 7 years before they are given access to mine for the minerals, and they're trying to get that tightened down to maybe 2 to 4 years.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's just going to take a long time, and that's where they're like, what is the point of this tax credit and us getting the minerals from here if you guys aren't going to let us do anything for 7 years? It's like, you got to work with us here.
Yeah, right. It's pretty crazy. There's a company based, I think they're in Las Vegas or somewhere in Nevada, called Mountain Pass MP Materials, and they do critical resource mining, and that's kind of an interesting one. They also went public through a SPAC, specialty purpose acquisition company, like that of Fisker, and that one's been kind of fun to watch. I've been kind of tracking that one for a while. But they go anytime there's news, good news or bad news about the EV tax credit, minerals, mining minerals, and things for batteries. The stock goes up or down, pretty volatile. But that's been kind of a fun one to watch. So yeah, I don't see any other questions. Tonight's like just a quick show. This might be like the quickest we've ever done this, an hour and 30 minutes. I don't know if there's any last questions. If you guys have anything else that you want to share about this week in Fisker or anything EVs.
Saw in the chat that some of them are wanting to get together and drive. They said they were going to get together and drive to the nearest Fisker, one of us, basically the closest one, and make a video and send it to Fisker. So
what? Wait, what?
Get all their cars together and send them to Fisker.
Fun.
Yeah,
that sounds fun. So when we get our Fisker Oceans, we're going to all meet up somewhere, film them, and then we're going to send it over to Fisker. I'm in. If it's not too far.
I'm probably gonna, once I get my car, predicated on that Q2, Q3, whenever. Once I get my car, I'm probably gonna start a Fisker meetup group for Florida and do a couple of events just to get together, hang out, meet like-minded folks, and put some things on social media and have a little bit of fun with it. I mean, I guess that's
that's right.
That's the most important thing.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I hope to do as well. I'm going to try to do something on the Fisker Audi forums. I'm going to try to build a really nice way for people to meet one another in their local area and kind of have a car club. So I don't know how, and I'm sure a lot of people have this idea of meeting up. And I personally met some really cool people through the Fisker Audi forums and just in general through social media that are into the Fisker Ocean. So, I want to get a meetup here for Southern California or San Diego or something. And the funny thing is there's got to be like 20 people just in the Fiskerati forums that are based here in San Diego. So, assuming everybody gets their car end of this year, beginning of next year, we could definitely get a car club going soon. And it would be fun to meet up with people and learn, tips and tricks and different ways to take care of the car that may potentially be different than other cars. How do you add more, windshield washer fluid to the vehicle? I know there's that running joke in the forum forever. Like, how do you add, where's the windshield washer fluid go? But like little things like that, it's fun just to talk to other people about, what your experience is like. And as somebody who follows it all the time, it's fun to, share whatever knowledge I get to other people. And the car club would be a fun way of doing that. So yeah, I know meetup.com is a good place to do those, to do those. So I was thinking maybe to sign up for like maybe an enterprise type plan there and then integrate it into the Fiskerati forums, or maybe just keep it a part of meetup.com. That might be the easiest. And then you can have different sections throughout the, United States or, globally. But yeah, I was thinking maybe doing something like that. And, who knows? If you want to work together on that at some point, let me know. I'm happy to.
Sure. I have experience with Meetup. I had a motorcycle riding group down in when I lived in Fort Myers, and so that was a great way to kind of just, you organize a ride. Whoever shows up. But, there's nothing really to it. Just say, hey, we're going out to Lake Okeechobee this weekend. Meet here and ride out, and then that's it. Grab lunch, head back. But with people being around the state, I'd imagine, I think I put in the chat, you'd say, okay, well, this weekend Miami, this weekend Orlando, this weekend, Tampa or something like that.
That's right.
Try to build, something interesting, some tourist trap maybe around it, or some event. If there's something going on in one of those cities, there's always something going on.
That's right.
So.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah, I used to do a tech coffee meetup on meetup.com. And there might have been like a few hundred people. Who was that?
Plus, we can give all those Fisker Karma owners a home too.
That's right. There's still a lot of those people.
If you have meetups, if you got a Fisker, come join.
Come meet up. Absolutely. So cool. That's neat. Oh, we got Kevin sharing his Ocean One. Maybe he just got it. 1283. That's one thing I didn't see. And then Martin 1559. So we didn't end up seeing any locks this week. That was nothing that I saw. So I wonder if all the lock dates that were for the Fisker Ocean One, if those have been totally exhausted now, like nobody else can lock in their build. I wonder if that's done, or if there's going to be anything coming up on Monday. So who knows there? I think when Matt did his polling or graph, I think there might have been something that went into April. I can't remember what that plot chart looked like, but that would be it's kind of interesting. Kevin 606, Todd 4749. Yeah, still don't know who 5000 is. That would be pretty neat to find that one out. And number one. So yeah, that's pretty good. And then I think the people who follow this show and have not cataloged their Fisker Ocean One yet, head over to the Fiskerati forums. Giuseppe, who's a member there, has been doing a great job going across all the forums, social media sites, and cataloging all the Ocean Ones. And I think last I looked, there was close to 700, maybe even 750, might be possibly more now. So not quite all of them, but maybe they'll hit 1,000 catalog. So 20%, that's pretty neat, and maybe add a few over the time as time goes on. So yeah, that's I think that's tonight's show. I think, geez, we have 83 people still watching. Thank you for hanging in with us here throughout the whole thing. Wherever you're listening or watching us from, if you haven't hit the like button, hit it one more time. If you haven't joined our channel, hit the join button. What else can I say? If you haven't subscribed to our channel, hit that. By the way, we do have Fiskerati merchandise. And I lowered yesterday for fun. This is kind of funny. I lowered, though, all the prices all the way down to whatever the cost is for Teespring, who's the company that makes them. So we don't make anything on it. Maybe, if anything, a quarter, 50 cents, whatever it is. But whatever was like the most roundest number to be like 99, so like $10.99. If it was in, whatever the closest 99 cents was, that's what it ended up becoming. So those are on there. If you get a shirt for like $15, I think it is. We don't make any money on it, but it's a fun way to show your support of people walking around. You can see Fiskerati. I don't know how many people are into that, but we've had a couple dozen t-shirt sales. So lower the prices if people are interested in that. And I think there's a link somewhere here on the YouTube channel. You can click like, hey, let me see the merch or something like that. Yeah, it's somewhere on there if you hover over view products. So that's kind of fun. Anyhow, that's all I got. That's all I got over here from my side. It's been fun as always doing all things Fisker. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to share?
Just a couple of news items.
Yes.
Ford announced a $2.1 billion loss on their EVs for 2022. I think that might have something to do with the start and stop on the Mach-E. They recalled half of those vehicles, and then they also stopped production for 6 months. And then they had a little trouble with the F-150 Lightning towards the end of the year with some potential battery issues or potential fires or whatever it was that was causing that. I thought that was interesting. But obviously, they also split. They're no longer by regions. I think they're doing it by. EVs. I think they're doing just now market segments instead of by how they track sales. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I read a little bit about that earlier in the week. I thought that was pretty interesting. And it's the same as Tesla. At the beginning, they lost billions of dollars to get to the point where they're at now. Now they're, I would say, I don't know if wildly profitable is the right term, but they're profitable on every car, and they have the margins, as we all have seen as of late.
Oh yeah.
You have a question, Jim, from Rosanna in the chat. She says, "How is your Mach-E doing, Jim?"
I was just responding to her. I was like, "It's doing great. I've had like 4 updates in the last 6 weeks to everything, and not having any issues. It's doing good."
Good to hear. That's good to hear. That's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know.
I was going to say about the Ford losing the money on that too, and they did say even at the beginning that they were going to lose money on their EVs, and I think I did a video about how the people that were, the people who drive gas vehicles were all complaining about the EVs and Ford EVs and all that stuff. And I was just like, well, just so you know, every time you buy a gasoline Ford vehicle, you're helping to pay for the building of the EVs. So, and that's where your money's going, is to help build more EVs. And so I thought it was kind of funny. Funny. Yeah, they basically said right now, when they're starting this up and this whole process, even though they're not a new startup, they still have to buy new machinery and to buy
capital-intensive
batteries.
business.
And they got to buy all this stuff ahead of time, and that takes money. And so they said they know that they're going to lose so much money off of each vehicle till they reach a certain production point before it'll actually start balancing itself out.
Yeah.
And every manufacturer is going to be the same way, especially when they first start up with EVs, because they have all this new equipment and stuff that they have to get in there than what they're used to having. I think that's part of the reason I think they did the F-150 with just taking an F-150 and turning it electric instead of doing the whole new platform, which they announced that they've talked about the T3 now, Project T3. That's going to be a dedicated thing. It actually made them able to save some money just by taking the F-150 and turning it electric. Because they use the same body, basically. The front grille, the front fascia was the only thing that was different. The rest of it all looks like a traditional F-150. And they actually used the same bed and everything when they built those. So that was a smart thing for them. They didn't have to go spend as much money replacing a bunch of stuff. But now they're going to spend a bunch of money building this whole new platform and all this other stuff. So there's probably going to be several more years that they report that they've lost millions or billions of dollars for, I would say, probably at least the next 5 years. before they start making money off of it. But everybody thanks for buying gas vehicles and paying for the EVs.
That's funny. That's good. So, do you have another news thing, Marty? Was there another news?
Oh no, that was it. The only other thing was we're talking about there's always those recession talks, and then of course today people are saying that we're in a bull market, at least for the Nasdaq. It's up 20% since December. So last week was bank crisis, and the world is falling apart. This week it's a bull market. So it's going to be interesting to see which way it turns. If inflation stays persistent, if we do actually see a recession, people are consumers are spooked a little bit, but they can be unspooked.
Yeah, and the interest rates have not changed as of yesterday on the Fisker website. It's still saying 6.3% for a 800 plus credit score, and I think I had maybe it's like a $40,000 loan or whatever it is. So 6.3%, and that was a 60-month loan. That hasn't changed after interest rates went up the other week. So who knows if it will? I'm guessing it probably will. A couple people shared links to credit unions. Penn Fed was one of them. I think it was a really good rate. It was like high 4s, low 5s.
That's pretty good.
Credit unions, I think, of course, are going to offer probably the best interest rates. You have to be a member of a credit union, kind of similar, just being a customer of like a big bank, Chase or Bank of America, Wells Fargo. My local bank, big bank, doesn't really have good auto loan rates. Credit unions have much better. But I'm not a member of a credit union, so it really doesn't help me. I don't think I'm planning on signing up for one. So I'll probably end up sticking with Fisker Finance, and then I'll just probably pay off the loan earlier. Typically with auto loans, you can pay them off earlier and avoid the interest charge. And I think it was like for a $40,000 loan over 5 years, I think the interest with being at 6.3%, it was like $5,000 interest charge. So sooner I pay it off, the more money I save, which is a good thing as a consumer. Maybe not as good thing as a Fisker shareholder. You want people to keep the loan for the life of the loan and not pay it off earlier. But I'm going to take the
120 month option and or a 10-year.
Yeah,
plan.
I think it was 84 was the highest. Like that's a long time.
Really? 84? That's interesting. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, 7 years, right? That's a long time to have a car loan.
Yeah. I'll probably be speaking Chinese by then.
Yeah, I think the Chase Auto site did have ones even longer. I think you might be right by saying 10 years. I think there might have been like a 10-year auto loan. Good heavens.
I've heard of those. I've heard that they've been stretching them that far, and everybody's just like, they need to get rid of that. They need to stop that because it's just nobody's going to have a car that long. I'm going to say 75% of people don't keep their cars over 5 years.
No.
But all right. So why I can't imagine not being upside down when you get another vehicle if you get a 10-year loan. And how much interest are you paying on that? I mean, you're going to pay half the value of the car in interest.
Yeah, I think people want the lowest possible payment that they can possibly get. And the one way to do that is to push the loan out. Next, they'll have 30-year car loans, but obviously the car wouldn't last that long. Like a house would, right? 30-year home loan.
Or a boat. I mean.
Or a boat. There you go.
Yeah. Boats you can get on just basically like a mortgage now. Yeah.
Or an RV too, probably, right? They probably have 30-year loans on RVs. I never looked.
Yeah, I think so.
I think RVs go out like 120, but some of those $RVs are $2 million buses. So
yeah, they're expensive. It's cost of homes for some people, the actual physical home.
Yep. They retire in them. Yeah,
that'd actually be fun. I've never actually done a road trip in an RV. I think that would actually be quite fun.
I've rented one.
Like be an electric car. Get an electric one.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched it. One TV show that I really liked. I don't know if anyone likes this, but it was what the heck is the name of the show? It was Marcus Lemonis on CNBC. He had that TV show where I forgot what the hell the show is called, but he would go and he'd look for failing businesses and he'd invest in them and he'd try to help turn them around. and I always thought it was fun to watch. And I started following him whenever he launched that show. The Prophet is what the show's called, and
Yes, right.
he ended up doing outside of that show. He's the CEO and I think the co-founder of Camping World, and he ended up doing a partnership a long time ago with Lordstown Motors. And I thought that was interesting. And at the then CEO of Lordstown Motors was joking around with him when Marcus was presenting the partnership. And the partnership, I recall, was for Camping World, because they have locations all around the United States, to do the service and maintenance for the Lordstown trucks for fleets. So I thought that was actually kind of an interesting partnership. And back in the day, I was like, oh, maybe Fisker will do something like that down the road with, a brand name like a Firestone or whoever it might be. In this case, it was Lordstown partnering with Camping World. And the reason I bring this up is Marcus Lemonis and the CEO, the then CEO of Lordstown, were joking around about, hey, let's build an all-electric, battery-powered RV. And I thought, wow, that'd actually be pretty cool. And I think Marcus was the one that actually said, oh, let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's just make sure we get this done right. And we all kind of know to some extent how Lordstown Motors has played out. It didn't play out as they originally anticipated. And we ended up seeing a partnership between Lordstown Motors and Foxconn. And now Foxconn owns the Lordstown Motors factory, and that's where the Fisker Pear is going to be built. So maybe there will be some partnership down the road with Fisker and Camping World. Bring your Fisker Ocean to your local Camping World and have it outfitted to become like a camping Fisker Ocean. I don't know. But kind of that's I thought that was kind of fun.
Have a camper that you drive the Pear up into.
A Pear or the Ocean? I don't know. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah, park your Fisker Pear in an RV trailer thing. So anyhow, that's this is episode 21 of All Things Fisker. If you haven't liked the video, like the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Jim from OSR Garage. Thank you, Marty from Fisker's Whispers. You can follow him on Instagram. You can follow us on Fiskerati.com. If you haven't already checked out Fiskerati Premium, check that out. And thank you for watching tonight, everybody. Take care.
Good night, everyone.